Approval feels like safety. Caring what people think, it isn't random. At some point, approval meant protection. If people liked you, you were safe. You didn't get voted off the island. You were part of the tribe. If they accepted you, you belonged. Your nervous system learned that being accepted reduced risk. And that's the number one job of your nervous system is protect you, is to reduce risks and make you survive. So when someone disapproves, it doesn't just feel uncomfortable, it feels dangerous. Even if it isn't. There's nothing weak about it. It's learned survival. It's computer programming of our brains. We learned this. A lot of this started earlier than you realize. As kids, we adapted. We noticed what gets praised, what gets ignored, what gets criticized, and we adjust. Maybe you became agreeable or high achieving or quiet or funny, not because that was fully you, but because that was the safer version of you. And sometimes that adaptation follows you into adulthood. Belonging is powerful. Humans are wired for connection. Isolation used to mean actual danger. So your brain still treats social rejection as serious. Even subtle things like a delayed reply. I texted him like 5 minutes ago. Why is he not getting back to me? I got the tickets. He should get back to me right away. A change in tone, not being invited, can trigger internal alarms. You're not dramatic. You're wired. You're programmed. We learn these things when we were so much younger. Imagine judgments can feel as real as actual judgments. Sometimes our brain doesn't distinguish between the two. There's so much going on in there. Here's the strange part. Most of the time, you're not reacting to what someone said. You're reacting to what you think they might think. And the majority of time, people are not thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves. They're worried about themselves. They're trying to figure themselves out. You fill in gaps. You interpret silence. You look at that text message over and over again. Sometimes you see the little dots come up and, oh, they're texting back. And then all of a sudden they don't. And it's like, what do I text back? What's going on? You replay conversations and assign meanings. It's a full-time job doing that. And it's exhausting. Your mind becomes a courtroom. There's a judge, a jury, lawyers on both sides of the case, fighting against the other side, back to the judge, to the jury. The jury's sometimes not paying attention. And you're both the accused and prosecutor. The mental rehearsal is exhausting, and rejection feels physical. There's research showing that social rejection activates the same brain regions as physical pain. So when someone disapproves or distances themselves, you don't just feel embarrassed, you feel it in your chest, in your stomach, in your breathing. Your breathing shallows, you're not getting as much oxygen, and your mind starts to race. No wonder it's hard to ignore. Comparison distorts reality. You don't compare your insides to someone else's insides. It's like the proverbial apples to oranges. You compare your insides to their presentation, and their presentation is usually on Instagram, in a curated story, in a curated reel, in something that they've planned out for weeks. Their confidence, their curated images, their highlight reel. And when you don't match that externally polished version, you assume you're lacking. There's something wrong with you. But you're comparing different data sheets. Internal doubt versus external projection. That will always feel unfair. Over-adjusting becomes automatic. When you care deeply about what people think, you start calibrating consistently. And that's hard because it takes your energy and it's physically demanding. There's no off switch on it. Was that too much? Was I too quiet? Did I overshare? Should I have said something different? Maybe I can text more. Maybe I can explain it by text. You tweak yourself socially, sometimes so much that you lose track of what you actually feel. And adaptation can slowly turn into self-erasure. Letting someone misunderstand you is terrifying. Here's a hard truth. You can explain yourself perfectly and still be misunderstood. And for someone who values approval, that feels intolerable. But constantly clarifying yourself to prevent all misunderstanding it's just exhausting. Sometimes growth looks like allowing someone to see you imperfectly and not rushing to fix it. Allowing people to see who you really are. The cost of living externally, if your decisions are constantly filtered through what will they think, you slowly disconnect from what do I think? External validation becomes your compass, but external validation shifts constantly. It's unstable. It's different on every day of the week. Internal authority feels quieter, but it's steadier. Rebuilding that takes practice. You can care less without becoming careless. This isn't about not caring at all. It's about recalibrating. Instead of, do they approve? Try, is this aligned with me? Did I embarrass myself? Or try, was I honest? Caring less about perception makes room for caring more about integrity. You're not overly sensitive. You've learned that approval equals safety. And safety is the number one job of your brain. And now you're allowed to update that belief. You don't have to perform constantly. You don't have to shape shift in every room. You don't have to win everyone. If someone misunderstands you, that doesn't automatically mean you did something wrong. You're not a bad person. Sometimes it just means you're being real. And that's enough. I'm Scott Stewart, and you're not crazy.